Hi everyone. Today I want to talk about how worrying on someone else's behalf is not helpful and what to do instead. So we all probably have people in our lives who are the worriers. So maybe it's a mother who always worries about us, or maybe it's us who worries about our children. Or perhaps it's somebody, your spouse or somebody else, who always seems to be worrying about other people. Now, my daughter, this video was inspired by my daughter because my eldest daughter is an empath, and she, for years, since she was really, really young, like probably already 7 or 8 years old, would find herself feeling what other people were feeling. So if a child was struggling at school, she would come home and sometimes cry on behalf of that child, feeling what they were feeling. And then she would begin to worry when she was a little bit older. She was like 9, 10 years old. She would worry for a specific child who was struggling. And so we started having these conversations around how it wasn't actually helpful and what she could actually do instead. And we would begin to practice these things on behalf of some of the kids in her class who were having a hard time. Now, the other reason that I felt inspired by this is a few years ago, probably at least 2 years ago now. Took me a while to make the video after the inspiration came in. So about 2 years ago, I had a woman who had told me that she was worried about her child. Her child was 12 at the time, because according to the mother, the child had long haul COVID, and she was struggling with her energy levels and lethargy, and was struggling to get to school and several other things. Now, the interesting thing is, when I tuned into this child, what I actually saw was that the child was smothered in fear. She was smothered in fear. And this was not her own fear, it was her mother's fear. So her mother worrying and worrying and worrying was essentially projecting this heavy, sticky, kind of syrupy heaviness onto the child, making her feel fatigued, making her feel like she's struggling with energy. So I understand perhaps me saying this might trigger some people, and if it is triggering you, then please stay with me through this video, because it's essentially something that is very natural for us moms to worry about our kids. But it's really important for us to understand what we're essentially doing when we project our own fear onto our kids. So in this session, for example, we helped clear this fear from the child. And when I saw her, because I happened to see her the very next day, I saw the kid at school on time, chatting with her friends, laughing, and I instantly recognized that this kid was feeling like herself again. So a couple tips. So if it's not helpful to worry, first of all, what do we do instead? Instead of worrying. So if there's somebody in your life who you're like, oh my gosh, I'm worried about my brother, or I'm worried about my brother's child, or I'm worried about whoever it is to first actually say, okay, so what can I do to help? If projecting my fear, because we're all energy, and this is the thing, if you are feeling something and you are feeling it for that person, you are essentially sending it to that person, right? And so remind yourself of that. Like, we are very powerful beings, and we are energetic beings. So if we're going to worry, we're sending our fear over to that person, and that is not going to be helpful. So instead, a couple things. First is to imagine that this person that you're worried about is surrounded by light. You can even see that they are surrounded by spirit guides. So divine beings that are here to help them. You can imagine that they are surrounded by God's light or Source's light that is here to care for them. And then you can take it another step further and see that in that human that you are worrying about is a beautiful spark of light of their own divinity, their soul. And so by doing this, you are saying, okay, I see that this person is cared for you. So you're shifting your perspective, right? Now you're not just saying, oh, poor person, poor person. You're saying, oh, okay, this person is in good hands. They are being cared for on an energetic or spiritual level. You can also then ask your own support, your own spirit guides, here I am, I'm feeling worried about this person. Please help in any way you can, or through prayer, right? So prayer is sending love and good vibes to the person. It is not sending worry, right? So please care for my nephew. Please surround him with love. Please allow him to be his healthiest self. Thank you, thank you. That is a prayer, right? That is a prayer with good meaning, good intention, and good higher vibration. Now, if you have already been worrying, so let's say you're watching this video, you're like, oh my gosh, I've been worrying about my sick nephew for a month already. Now what? Well, the first thing I would recommend is taking your energy back. Okay? So you do this by just closing your eyes and then just saying, I take back any energies that I have sent to, and then say the name. I'm taking back any energies, any worry, any fear that I have sent to so-and-so. And then you breathe and you allow it to come back to you. Now, you might feel it like a bit of a like suddenly you feel a bit heavier, right? And then you'll want to look at your own stuff so that you can let it go. So this is kind of the follow-up is, okay, where is this fear inside of me? What is this fear trying to tell me? And it might be, oh my gosh, I have this fear that my child's going to become really sick like my nephew, or I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my child, or I'm afraid. So it can even seem like an irrational fear. And that's a topic for another video, which is sometimes our fears from other lifetimes carry over, and then it can be actually what seems like an irrational fear, but it's still sitting within us. So if you know that you've projected onto someone, take it back. Once you take it back, then it's for you to process. So you can sit with your eyes closed and ask, show me what this fear is all about. Show me where this fear is sitting in my body. And then breathe into it and just ask, okay, I'm breathing into this fear. Please show me or allow me to help release it. Breathe into it and let it go. Breathe into it and let it go. Okay, beautiful. So if you know anybody who's a chronic worrier, or who you hear say, oh, I'm so worried about this person, or I'm so worried about you, please share this video with them. And we are by all means not judging anybody who worries, because actually worry, it maybe gets mixed up with compassion, right? So the person actually has perhaps great compassion, and then it gets all intertwined with some fear, and then it gets projected as fear, right? So we're certainly not judging anybody who worries, because they are likely a very compassionate person. It's just that it's becoming mixed up with fear. So I hope you found this helpful. And if you did, please share it. If you are interested in booking an intuitive healing session and curious how that may help you, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, or energetically, feel free to reach out. Thank you. You can reach me on rachelshonaker.com. Have a great day.